Have you ever found yourself caught in a current you didn't quite understand, swept along by a force invisible yet undeniable? A silent influence that shapes your choices, sways your beliefs, and molds your reality, all without your conscious consent. You encounter these concealed currents daily. This isn't coincidence. It's the profound, often chilling domain of dark psychology. Those who truly master its clandestine arts possess an unnerving ability to dictate outcomes and orchestrate human behavior. Yet here's the brutal truth. Many intelligent, perceptive minds, even those who acknowledge this silent power, often dismiss it as an arcane secret too intricate or too remote to ever truly grasp. They cling to the comforting illusion that such knowledge is reserved for a select few, an elusive power just beyond their reach. But this is a dangerous fantasy, isn't it? The grim reality is far less mystical and far more accessible than you've been led to believe. It's not a secret whispered in ancient cults. It's a stark, unvarnished understanding of human nature itself, a truth Machiavelli himself would recognize. In the next few minutes, we're not merely lifting the veil. We're tearing it down, exposing the raw, unadulterated mechanics. We're about to lay bare 10 incredibly potent, dark psychological maneuvers, strategies, so fundamentally effective, so profoundly impactful, they feel almost illicit to even contemplate. This isn't just about defense. It's about absolute dominion. It's about forging an impenetrable fortress around your own will, while simultaneously handing you the keys to navigate any social landscape with an unnerving, almost predatory confidence. So cease merely observing. It's time to engage. Let's plunge into the depths where power truly resides. Imagine a single word, seemingly innocuous, yet holding the power to reroute destinies. That word, because. It's remarkable, almost chilling, how simply adding this word after a declaration can dramatically amplify your odds of securing consent. Why does such a tiny linguistic construct wield such immense, almost instant power? It's not about the profoundness of your reasoning, it's about the sheer presence of it. This seemingly insignificant addition taps directly into one of the most fundamental, almost primitive human psychological hardwires, the insatiable craving for a reason, a cause, an explanation. The instant we hear, because, our minds instinctively snap to attention, eager, almost desperate to be furnished with a rationale, a justification, any explanation at all. Our brains are lazy. They seek the path of least resistance. Employing because is like hitting a psychological shortcut to automatic compliance. It provides an immediate, often flimsy explanation that drastically increases the likelihood of people agreeing to your demand or assenting to your statement. Think of it as a subtle, almost imperceptible mental shove in the desired direction. It's a silent, powerful trick that frequently leads to unthinking compliance, bypassing critical analysis entirely. You state your demand, you offer a because, and the gates of agreement swing open often before they even know why. To truly comprehend the formidable, almost brutal strength of non-reactivity, you must first descend into the dark, twisted confines of a bully's or aggressor's mind. Bullies, in their grotesque pursuit of dominance, aren't primarily seeking physical pain. They crave your emotional raw material. They thrive on eliciting a visceral reaction, be it paralyzing fear, incandescent anger, or shattering sadness. These raw emotional outputs, these dramatic responses, are their very sustenance. They are the fuel that ignites and sustains their warped sense of power and control. In essence, your emotional reaction is their oxygen. By deliberately withholding that reaction, by refusing to give them the theatrical spectacle they so desperately crave, you are quite literally severing their primary source of nourishment. Non-reactivity isn't merely a tactic. It's an impenetrable psychological shield, one that bullies find utterly baffling and profoundly frustrating. It shatters the very power dynamic they seek to establish. When you remain unperturbed, unflinching a stone wall against their onslaught, you deny them the perverse satisfaction of witnessing your distress or your upset. This isn't passivity. It's an active, formidable tool designed to de-escalate volatile situations and ultimately strip the aggressor of their interest. In the grim theater of psychological warfare, embracing non-reactivity is akin to extinguishing a raging inferno by suffocating its oxygen supply. The flames sputter, diminish, and eventually die down because the aggressor's actions are no longer rewarded. They are left with nothing but their own hollow, impotent echoes. Recall those emotionally charged scenes in films where characters, amidst heightened tension or profound vulnerability, instinctively repeat each other's names more frequently. There's a primal, almost visceral reason for this, a deep-seated psychological truth. The profound power of a name isn't merely in its sound. It resides in the deep, intricate emotional tapestry woven around it. A name isn't just a sequence of letters or a convenient label. It is at its very core an integral, sacred, and deeply personal anchor to one's identity. It is the sound of self. When someone hears their own name spoken, especially when delivered with genuine intent and focus, it triggers an immediate, almost unavoidable, and deeply intimate response. They don't merely hear a sound. They feel seen, acknowledged, and profoundly validated. This subtle yet powerful act taps directly into a fundamental human yearning, the intrinsic desire to be recognized, to feel significant, and to be appreciated. It makes them feel unique, special. Consider this deceptively simple scenario. You're amidst the chaotic symphony of a social gathering, and you're introduced to two individuals. One offers a perfunctory nod and a curt, "Hello?" The other, however, meets your gaze with a warm, genuine smile and articulates, "Hello, your name. It's a true pleasure to meet you." The difference isn't just politeness. It's an immediate forge of connection, a subtle invitation into a deeper bond. The second person, by merely uttering your name, has already laid the groundwork for a connection that bypasses the superficial. They've recognized you, and in doing so, they've claimed a piece of your attention. Envision yourself staring down a monolithic task, one you've skillfully sidestepped for days, weeks, perhaps even months. The internal skirmish against the creeping tendrils of procrastination can feel like a losing battle, a relentless war waged within your own mind. But there exists a psychological maneuver startling in its simplicity, yet devastatingly effective, that can not only aid you in this perpetual fight, but also propel you relentlessly towards your goals. It's known quite simply as the count to 5 technique. This potent trick operates on a single, unwavering principle: instant decision-making. When we confront a task, we've been expertly avoiding our brains ever so cunningly erect an invisible barrier of resistance. This is the insidious voice, the internal saboteur that whispers, "I'll do it later," or sighs, "I'm just not in the mood right now." The more time we allow to elapse, the stronger, the more calcified this resistance becomes, turning into an almost insurmountable wall. The sheer magic of the count to 5 lies in its demand for swift, decisive, almost brutal action. By commencing a deliberate countdown from 5 to 1 and concurrently forging an unshakable commitment to begin the task, the moment you hit 1, you violently breach that initial paralyzing resistance. It ruthlessly capitalizes on a lesser-known psychological phenomenon often dubbed the 5-second rule, which chillingly suggests that if we don't act on an idea or an impulse within 5 seconds, our own minds will almost certainly talk us out of it. This isn't motivation. It's a cognitive bypass, a forced launch sequence that leaves no room for hesitation compelling you to move before doubt can set in. Human beings are creatures hardwired for inquiry, for an insatiable curiosity that demands resolution. When we detect even the slightest lull in a conversation, a momentary void in the flow of words, our innate impulse kicks in. We instinctively strive to fill it. This almost unconscious, deeply ingrained desire to sustain the dialogue, to bridge the silence, can often coax forth disclosures that would otherwise remain meticulously concealed. Secrets locked away behind carefully constructed facades. The power of the pause isn't a blunt instrument. It's a finely honed, nuanced skill demanding precision and a surgeon's touch to employ with subtle mastery. Here's how to wield this invisible force. As the conversation ebbs and flows, choose your moments with deliberate intent. Identify those points where a natural organic pause or a comfortable silence might logically fall. These are typically the precise junctures where the speaker might feel a flicker of discomfort, a fleeting sense that perhaps they've already revealed a fraction too much. During this calculated pause, maintain unwavering eye contact with the speaker. This isn't aggressive. It's a silent, unwavering non-verbal cue, a magnetic force that subtly yet powerfully encourages them to continue speaking, to fill the void you've expertly created. Your silence becomes an irresistible invitation, and their discomfort a trigger for confession. They will talk not because you asked, but because you didn't. Within the shadowy realm of dark psychology, there exists a captivating, almost hypnotic technique known as mirroring. It is a profoundly artful maneuver, a silent dance that plays directly on the subconscious mind, granting one the uncanny ability to forge instantaneous rapport, cultivate deep-seated trust, and even subtly manipulate emotions, all without uttering a single audible word. So, what arcane magic underpins this remarkable psychological illusion? Let us then peel back its intricate layers and unravel its chilling secrets. The core concept of mirroring is rooted in a fundamental, undeniable aspect of human behavior. People are, by their very nature, irresistibly drawn to those who resemble them. This isn't about physical appearance. It's about congruence, about a shared rhythm, a silent acknowledgement of sameness. By subtly, almost imperceptibly imitating another person's gestures, their body language, the cadence of their voice, or even the idiosyncratic patterns of their speech, you create an unspoken visceral bond. This connection, forged in the silent depths of the subconscious, can prove as potently influential as any meticulously crafted spoken argument. Mirroring serves a dual, almost deceptive purpose. On one hand, it effortlessly fosters connection and cultivates an instant rapport, making the other person feel profoundly at ease, genuinely understood, and completely safe. On the other, and far more sinisterly, it can be deployed with chilling precision to manipulate a given situation, subtly influencing the other party's emotional state, or more critically, their decision-making process. It's the art of becoming their reflection so perfectly aligned that they unconsciously trust your very essence, opening themselves to your influence. To be truly instinctively liked, to become an almost magnetic presence in someone's life, hinges on a profound truth of human psychology, the irresistible allure of familiarity. We, as creatures of habit and comfort, are inherently, almost biologically drawn to what we already know, to the patterns and presences that have woven themselves into the fabric of our existence. This intriguing, almost insidious technique allows you to establish a deep-seated bond with another person without them ever consciously registering the process. It is the art of becoming a constant, yet largely unnoticed fixture in their life, subtly etching your presence into the very core of their consciousness. But how precisely does one harness this peculiar psychological quirk, this silent gravitational pull? To set the stage, the initial crucial step is to forge a preliminary connection, however fleeting, with the person you wish to captivate. This can manifest as a casual, seemingly accidental meeting, a brief, unassuming conversation, or even a serendipitous chance encounter. The nature of this initial interaction is less important than its existence. Once this foundational connection has been delicately laid, the true secret, the potent alchemy, lies in unwavering consistency. Frequent, almost systematic exposure to your presence, whether it be in the physical realm or the pervasive digital sphere, becomes paramount. This isn't about grand gestures. It's about relentless, subtle reaffirmation. It might be through a series of regular routine meetings, a consistent pattern of phone calls that become a natural part of their week, or even through the strategic, subtle engagement on social media platforms. Each encounter, no matter how small, is a brushstroke, adding another layer to your portrait within their mind, making you less a stranger and more an essential, familiar component of their world, deeply embedded without their full awareness. In the intricate, often opaque world of dark psychology, one enigmatic strategy stands supreme, a silent juggernaut of persuasion, the foot in the door technique. This intriguing psychological maneuver plunges deep into the labyrinthine complexities of human behavior, offering a chillingly profound insight into why we so readily assent to certain requests, even when our conscious minds might initially balk. Let us embark on this intellectual expedition, not to unravel a mere trick, but to expose the very mechanisms behind this insidious technique. To initiate the foot-in-the-door strategy, you commence with a small, seemingly benign, almost trivial request. This initial agreement must be effortless to fulfill, utterly devoid of any red flags or perceived imposition. Once the target, almost without conscious thought, agrees to this minor concession, a powerful psychological seed of consistency is insidiously planted within their mind. They have, in essence, taken a deliberate step that aligns, however minutely, with your overarching objective. This initial compliance becomes a silent internal commitment, a subtle compromise of their own autonomy. Now comes the pivotal, almost predatory phase. The key is to follow up swiftly and seamlessly with a significantly larger request that directly, undeniably relates to your ultimate intended goal. The individual's inherent, almost desperate desire to maintain internal consistency, to align their present actions with their recently established past behaviors, compels them with an almost irresistible force to accept this much grander request. With their foot firmly wedged in the door, having already ceded a small victory, the person is now exponentially more predisposed to comply with your ultimate objective. You have, through the subtle, relentless power of gradual persuasion, meticulously paved the way for them to make a substantial commitment, all while their conscious guard was down, convinced they were simply being accommodating, sealing their own fate. In the labyrinthine corridors of psychological manipulation, a captivating strategy often overlooked in its cunning simplicity is the art of asserting something slightly wrong to meticulously extract the entirely right information. This isn't mere deception. It's a brilliant psychological gambit expertly deployed to unearth hidden truths, to pry open the mental vaults of secrets, and to gain chillingly precise insights into a person's most guarded thoughts and concealed realities. To wield this technique with chilling efficacy, you must begin by subtly introducing a minor inaccuracy, a barely perceptible error into the ongoing conversation. This deliberate misstep must be artfully crafted. It needs to be understated enough not to immediately trigger overt suspicion or outright disbelief, yet sufficiently noticeable for the other person's internal alarm bells to gently chime, prompting them to instinctively recognize the discrepancy. The moment this subtly inaccurate statement is delivered, a fundamental human instinct is ignited, the almost irresistible urge to correct it. They will more often than not impulsively interject with the correct information or with an urgent need to clarify the perceived discrepancy. This is the critical moment. The instant they begin to rectify your supposed error, their mental defenses drop, their internal filters momentarily disengage. They become far more likely to provide a deluge of additional details, context, and even tangential insights, painting an infinitely clearer, more complete, and ultimately more truthful picture of the reality you seek to uncover. You haven't asked for the truth. You've masterfully baited them into revealing it, turning their need for accuracy into your ultimate weapon. Begin this subtle dance of influence by requesting a favor that is conspicuously, perhaps even audaciously, larger than what you genuinely require. This initial outsized request must be substantial enough to trigger a powerful inherent sense of reciprocity within the target, yet carefully calibrated so as not to appear utterly unreasonable or to immediately ignite suspicion. The goal isn't to get the big favor. It's to set a trap of obligation, to create an unseen debt. The moment the person perhaps reluctantly agrees to this initial, larger favor, the potent reciprocity effect is irrevocably set into motion. They now almost unconsciously feel that they owe you something in return, a deep-seated, almost primal aspect of human psychology that compels us to repay kindness even when coerced. With this pervasive sense of obligation firmly established, you can then, with seamless grace and impeccable timing, transition to your actual smaller request. The person now significantly influenced by the powerful principle of reciprocity is exponentially more likely to comply. They are driven not by pure willingness, but by the overwhelming internal need to discharge the perceived debt, to repay the kindness they have received, however grudgingly. This entire strategy hinges on an exquisite blend of subtlety and timing. It is absolutely crucial to present the smaller true favor at precisely the right moment, ensuring it is perceived not as a fresh imposition, but as a perfectly reasonable, almost inevitable follow-up to their initial grander concession. You've engineered their compliance, cloaked it in the guise of their own generosity, and made them a willing participant in their own manipulation. If you have made it this far, comment down below with the word 100% to confirm that you have received the knowledge from this video. For more interesting topics, make sure you watch the recommended video that you see on the screen right now. Thanks for watching.